Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. My name is Ada Morel. I am a trustee at the Kean University Board of Trustees, and I welcome you all to a new academic year here at Kean University. Muy buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias. Mi nombre es Ada Morel, soy miembro de la Junta Directiva de la Universidad de Kean. Le damos a todos las bienvenidas en este nuevo año académico en la Universidad de Kean. So before we get started, we have a little housekeeping to do. Please silence your cell phones. This way we can enjoy today's address and we won't have any interruptions. Thank you very much. Also, you are all welcome to join the President for refreshments immediately after the speech in the atrium and on the 6th floor of the STEM building. Now, there will be shuttles outside the theater after the speech in the event that you need a ride. Now, it has been my experience that when big things happen, they are happening so quickly and time just flies by. And boy, is time flying by here at Kean. It's moving. And we are all in awe and also the incredible impact Kean is having on this campus, across the state, and around the world. That is why I'm so excited to be here today for President Repollet's 7th opening day address. And I am also very honored to introduce him to you today. It's an honor, and he is my good friend. And I am very happy to say, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, our dynamic president, Dr. Lamont Repollet.
This never gets old. It's very humbling to say the least. And I look around the room, I am just, so my heart is just overjoyed, filling with joy. Yes. God is good. All the time, God is good. Ada, thank you for that wonderful introduction. That is my partner in crime. As a former member of the Board of Trustees, she is someone that led us for all those years through all the trials and tribulations that Kean has been through. She has led us with humility. She's led us with high character. And I thank you for that as a leadership. Thank you, Ada. Well, good morning, Kean University family. Buenos dias. To our students, faculty, staff, alumni, and the entire Kean community, welcome to opening day and the beginning of the 2026-27 academic year. To the members of the Kean Board of Trustees, including Ada Morel, Bertha Little Matthews, John Kean Jr., Rick Torres, and Dr. Tom Bastoke, you're here with us today. Thank you for your leadership and continued stewardship of this university and your support of me. Let's give them a round of applause. I am grateful to have several officials joining us today, including our very own Elizabeth Mayor Chris Bowich, Hillside Mayor and Professor Andrea Hyatt, Cain Foundation board members Brian Murphy and Marlon Matthews, Alumni Association President Ed Esposito, and Alumni Association member Vincent McDonald. I also want to recognize the leadership team from Wenzhou-Cain University joining us today, including Chancellor Lee and Ding Wang and their colleagues, as well as nearly 300 WKU students who are watching this speech from our NAB building. I especially want to greet the new faculty who are joining us for the first time. Please stand up so we can welcome you to the Cain community. And of course, to my family, to my wife, Darlene, our daughter, Taylor, my sisters, Diana and Iris, and our guest Tia. And I cannot forget my big girl, Lauren, who's watching online in California. We see you. Whether you're here with us in Wilkins Theater or joining us from Cain Ocean, Wenzhou-Cain University in China, Cain Global, or for the first time in our history, Cain, Jersey City, I am so grateful that you are part of this moment. Many of you have joined me for opening day since 2020. Can you believe it? 6 years. So I want to let you know that this speech is going to look a little bit different this year. This year we displayed the highlights that you shared with us in our pre-show, so I can focus my remarks today on the transformative journey that has brought Cain to this moment and the path forward for our great university. This year has been an extraordinary year, and it comes at a moment of profound change in higher education. Across New Jersey and the nation, universities are competing more intensely for students, talent, resources, relevance. Institutions are being challenged to adapt to bold decisions about their future. Higher education today resembles, to me, the Game of Thrones. Some universities defend their individual castles. Others will form alliances, pursue mergers, and build stronger university systems. And in the middle of that change, Cain is growing, expanding our reach, and you might say, roaring like a dragon.
In every age, there comes a moment when institutions must choose between preserving the past or creating the future. For generations, the great public research houses of New Jersey higher education built their kingdoms. They competed for students, for resources, for influence, for distinction. Yet beyond the horizon, a storm was gathering. Demographic decline, financial uncertainty, changing expectations, questions about the value of higher education itself. Winter was coming. While everyone looked inward, Cain also looked outward. Across oceans, across cultures, across possibilities. A dragon had awakened. What if a public university could think and act like a global institution? What many believed impossible became reality. But true leadership is not measured by conquest. It is measured by partnership, by opportunity, by expanding access for those who need it most. Then came the greatest challenge, a proud institution, a noble mission, a kingdom at risk. But this story would not end in decline. It would begin again through renewal. 5 banners, 1 vision, 1 mission, 1 future. A university system spanning continents, connecting with communities, advancing research, transforming lives. In higher education, the throne is not forged from swords. It is built through access, through innovation, through discovery, through opportunity, through student success. The dragon has awakened. The phoenix has risen. The realm is united. The unified Kane system is here, and the history of Kane continues with its greatest chapter still to be written. It's time to rise and climb higher.
I told you it was like the Game of Thrones. But unlike the Game of Thrones, in this story, Kane is the dragon. Strong, strategic, and capable of crossing traditional boundaries to expand the realm of opportunity. Kane, Jersey City, Andy, is the phoenix, rising from the period of uncertainty, renewed by its legacy, and strengthened by its place within the unified Kane system. This is not a story of conquest. It's a story of transformation. Two powerful symbols coming together to preserve access, create opportunity, and redefine what a public education system can become. The dragon has taken flight. The phoenix has risen. And together, they're ready to rise and climb higher. For more than 170 years, every generation of Kane has inherited an institution shaped by the people who came before and has faced essentially the same question. How do we shape the next era of this university? That question has followed Kane since 1855. A normal school created to prepare teachers became a teacher's college, then a comprehensive college, and eventually a university. A regional institution grew into a nationally recognized research university. Kane extended its reach to the Jersey Shore, crossed an ocean to establish a presence in China, entered homes and workplaces through online education, and through the historic merger completed this summer, expanded into Jersey City and Hudson County. Each of these moments represented change, growth, and new opportunities. It's Kane's building upon its foundation. If you study our history closely, a pattern emerges. Kane rarely waits for permission to lead. In 1972, the university established Supera, the country's first bilingual degree-granting program. Decades later, built a campus in China at a time when few American public universities were attempting anything of that scale. More importantly, the university achieved Carnegie R2 status, launched New Jersey's first Bachelor of Science in Artificial Intelligence, and completed a historic merger with New Jersey City University that has fundamentally changed the landscape of public higher education in this state. These developments occurred in different eras and under very different circumstances, but the instinct that was behind them remained remarkably consistent. Prepare before the need becomes urgent. Understand what is changing, and move while others are still deciding whether action is necessary. 6 years ago, when I became president, the most important question for me was, how does Kane University serve future generations? The answer required us to think differently about ambition, access, research, student success, global engagement, and public responsibility. It required us to question structures that had become too familiar, to become more agile and intentional, and to believe that a university deeply committed to access and equity could also occupy a far more significant place in American higher education. Much of what we see today is a result of that shift. Kane became an Carnegie R2 Research University because faculty like you strengthened the research enterprise. Students became deeply engaged in laboratories, studios and research teams. Doctoral education expanded, and the university invested in the infrastructure required to support discovery. Student outcomes improved, academic programs grew, and our campus continued to expand. These accomplishments deserve celebration. But I do not want us to confuse the evidence with the larger story. R2, research growth, student outcomes, artificial intelligence, and our expanded presence through Winjo, Ocean, Global, and Jersey City are not isolated accomplishments. Together, they demonstrate something that is far more significant. Kean University itself has changed. What we have developed over these last 6 years is institutional capacity. We now have greater capacity to serve students, conduct meaningful research, engage communities, operate globally, respond when New Jersey needs us, and anticipate challenges before they become crises. That capacity did not emerge accidentally. It came from aligning resources, people, and expectations around the belief that Kean could become more while remaining rooted in our mission. Our foundation remains remarkably consistent. Opportunity, education, service, and transformation continue to define why Kean exists. Excellence and equality and equity are not competing ideas here, nor are access and rigor, research and teaching, or growth and public purpose. You see, they reinforce one another because at the center is the belief that higher education can change the trajectory of a life. The structure above the ground may look vastly different from the institution that existed in 1855, but the foundation rooted beneath it continues to give the university strength. Last week, I gathered with my executive leadership team at a retreat at our Kean Harborside location in Jersey City. And Robin knows all too well. Robin, we talked about cathedral thinking. Just like those who built the great cathedrals of the world, we know that we are building at Kean that will benefit future generations of people that we will never meet. No cathedral was ever constructed by one architect. No single craftsman completed the work alone. Every stone mattered. I believe it describes exactly where we are today, an emerging university that's still building, that's still adding. Every leader in this room has been entrusted with different stones, but your stone was never intended to stand alone. Its purpose is to strengthen the entire organization. Today, I believe we're asking ourselves a deeper question. Where do I place another stone? And how do I place it so it strengthens the building? Because cathedrals are not strengthened simply by beauty of an individual stone. They're strengthened by how well the stones fit together. So I ask you today, as you start leaving out here, think about yourselves as chief architects, as builders of this cathedral, and understand that these cathedrals, we may not see the end. But I know one thing, though. I know one thing that I am going to see now is that the cornerstones will strengthen the cathedral for the next generation and for the next season. As you can tell from that exercise, each of our divisions is critical to our foundation. Even if one of them is wobbling or fall, the whole system can collapse. Wherever a student enters this system, the strength of the entire university should be within reach. That is a promise, but it's also where our next challenge begins. Because July 1st gave us a university system, but July 1st alone did not make us a unified university system. Organizations can be combined administratively, signs can change, budgets can be consolidated, and organizational charts can be redesigned. But none of those actions automatically create unity. Unity is created through people, culture, trust, and a shared purpose. For much of the last 6 years, our work has been defined by transformation. The work in front of us now is increasingly about integration, and integration is often much harder to see. It is measured by whether information moves effectively across the institution, whether expertise is shared, whether people trust one another, whether decisions align with the mission, and whether a student encounters the same commitment of excellence regardless of where that student begins that Kean experience. See, this is how the next chapter will be judged. Not simply by the architecture we can see, but by the relationships and connections that allow the architecture to function. When I look around this room, I see the people who carry this institution every day. Across Union, Ocean, Windsor, Global, and Jersey City, each person performs different work, but that work ultimately supports the same structure, and student leadership in the university requires stewardship. It cannot be defined by one administration or definitely by one president's accomplishments. It must be measured by whether we create an institution strong enough to serve generations beyond our own, and whether we create conditions for other people to lead within it. That is why I've always believed the goal was never to build a presidency. The goal was to build an institution in which faculty, staff, students, and leaders throughout the university understand the mission, recognize their own agency, and feel empowered to act on behalf of our students. There will be little purpose in creating an institution of this scale only to preserve smaller ways of thinking. R2 should expand the role of research throughout the university. Our international presence should broaden global learning for more students. Artificial intelligence should prepare students for industries and professions that are still being reshaped. Jersey City should become more than another location on a map. It should expand what an urban research university can contribute to students, communities, and the state. And the 5 locations, the 5 components of this system should create possibilities together that no one could create independently. For 6 years, much of our energy has been directed towards proving what Kane could become. We no longer need to prove that to anyone. The question now is more consequential. How can Kane build upon its success? You see, that's the challenge of this academic year and the opportunity created by the unified Kane system. Before an institution can change on the outside, the people inside, it must begin seeing it differently. For years, Kane was often described by what it was not. We had to reject that thinking 6 years ago. We had to change that mindset. Kane had to see itself differently before we can expect anyone else to see us differently. That required a culture shift where excellence was not reserved for someone else. Equity and achievement were not competing ideas, and a university deeply committed to access could also insist upon rigor, scholarship, and national relevance. Throughout my career, I've returned to books and ideas that kind of help me think about organizations, leadership, and change. Freeman Hrabowski's The Empowered University reinforced something that I've long believed. Institutions become stronger when the people within them understand the mission, recognize their own agency, and believe they have the ability and responsibility to shape what happens next. Jim Collins gave us another way to think about that work. His concept of the big, hairy, audacious goal, or you often hear me say BHAG, challenged organizations to pursue ambitious, large enough goals that they cannot be achieved through incremental improvement alone. They require people to organize around a common purpose and demand that institution become something different in the process of reaching them. The question gradually moved from, does Kane belong in this conversation, in this room, to what Kane can contribute or what Kane can build in that room. That change in mindset is one of the most important things we've built over the last 6 years, because it must now carry us into a larger, more complex, unified system. The challenge before us is to create a university system in which the strengths of Union, Ocean, Windsor, Global, and Jersey City reinforce one another so effectively that students gain access to opportunities that have not been possible within any one location alone. You see, that flywheel has given us momentum. But momentum only has value when it's connected to a purpose, our why. The culture that helped Kane rise must now become the culture that allowed this system to work as one university. Our progress would not be measured whether Union, Ocean, Windsor, Global, or Jersey City are individually successful. The more meaningful measurements will be whether the strength of one creates opportunity for the others, and whether a student entering Kane anywhere can ultimately experience the full capacity of this system. Culture is ultimately tested when an institution is asked to put its values into action. Over these last several years, Kane has spent considerable time strengthening its academic enterprise, research capacity, financial position, our reputation, and ability to serve. That idea takes us directly to our responsibility as an anchor institution. Kane does not exist apart from the communities around us. Our students come from those communities. Our employees live in them. Our alumni lead within them. And our researchers investigate the challenges confronting them. The unified Kane system gives us an opportunity to make that relationship even stronger. An anchor institution does not pass through a community, it stays, it anchors down. It develops relationships that endure beyond one project or one grant, and accepts permeance, creates responsibility. Public impact is the answer to a simple but demanding question. Is this community stronger because Kane is here?
A university's impact should not end at the edge of its campus. It should be felt throughout the communities it calls home. There are so many needs in the community, and a university that is committed to urban research is ideally situated to try to address those needs. In this case, what that designation shows is that the university has made a commitment, not only to doing something, but to sustaining something, to building the architecture within the institution to be able to go out into community credibly, predictably, in a way that people can trust, the ability to translate academic work into real-life practice. And I would argue that this has never been more important in the history of higher education. As people across the nation, from every walk of life and all across the political spectrum, are losing faith in universities, this kind of community work restores that faith. That's empowering for students who know that they not only can learn something, but they can take what they learn and they can use it to better the lives of the people they most care about. This helps Cougars climb higher all across the board.
The video you just saw shows that eventually, strength creates responsibility. The question becomes whether that capacity exists simply to make the institution stronger for itself, or whether it can be placed in service to something larger, to others. For Kane University, that question became very real in Jersey City. For years, we described Kane as an anchor institution. We said that public universities have a responsibility to the communities they serve, and that student success is our North Star. When New Jersey City University confronted circumstances that threatened its future, our principles were no longer theoretical. They required us to decide what those words actually meant. The challenge facing NJCU was certainly institutional, but I never believed the institution itself was the most important part of the equation. While leaders Andy discussed finances, governance, and structure, students were busy pursuing degrees. Faculty members were devoted to teaching those students. Staff members spent years serving their community. Alumni carried the institution with them. And families viewed that campus as a doorway to hope and opportunity. There was also Hudson County itself, one of the most diverse, dynamic, and pivotal regions in New Jersey. The question before us was never what would happen to the institution. The more important question was what happens to those who depend on it. In that moment, Kane had to decide what kind of public university we had actually become. If we were going to describe ourselves as an anchor institution, we had to be prepared to anchor when a community needed stability. If access was truly part of our mission, that commitment had to mean something when preserving access required us to assume greater responsibility. More importantly, we had to determine whether the transformation of the previous 6 years had simply been made to make Kane stronger for itself, or had it made us strong enough to serve something larger? So we chose to act. But that decision was neither impulsive nor based on the assumption that the work would be easy. The complexity was obvious. The risks were real, and the outcomes were not guaranteed. We moved forward because the mission and the moment aligned, and because years of preparation had given Kane the capacity to respond. That is why I do not see the merger as a separate chapter in Kane's transformation. I see it as the moment when the strength we were building was needed for a larger public purpose. A foundation matters most when it's asked to carry more weight. Leaders across both institutions performed an extraordinary amount of work to bring us to July 1st. What they really were building was the trust necessary to move two institutional communities toward a shared future. Organizations can be integrated through systems, but the people cannot be integrated through spreadsheets. People bring histories, traditions, relationships, professional identities, pride, and understandably, uncertainty. When our two histories met, our responsibility was never to ask one to disappear into the other. Our responsibility was to create something strong enough to carry the best of both forward. You see, unification is not erasure. It is addition. So I want to take this time to speak directly to our colleagues in Jersey City, particularly those experiencing their first opening day as a member of the Kane community. The last several years may have required extraordinary patience as you navigated through uncertainty about your institution, your work, your colleagues, and most importantly, your students. Now you're being asked to participate in building something new. I want you to understand that you are not standing outside this university system looking in. You're a part of it because the merge is complete, but unification is ongoing. Many people across the university have had to learn new systems, accept additional responsibilities, and work through uncertainty while continuing to serve students. So I thank you. I do not take that effort for granted. The professionalism, the adaptability demonstrated throughout this process brought us to July 1st. But our responsibility now is to turn that enormous work of institutional work into a stronger experience for students and a deeper relationship within the community. We proceed with respect for the legacy established in Jersey City and with the clear obligation to the students and families who have long depended upon accessible public higher education there, especially in the Greenwood section of Jersey City. Across Kane, Jersey City, the next chapter is already beginning to take physical form as spaces are renewed and new identity emerges. I want you to see some of that work.
Well, first off, this is a really exciting opportunity. Our facilities team made it a point to make sure that our partners in facilities and operations, IT, everyone who's on this campus this summer understands what our goal is to make sure that this campus runs smoothly, but more important, to respect and honor this community's staple.
We've been doing a lot of infrastructure upgrades, new chillers, painting, new flooring, and just overall making the campus great for the students.
They've started with some of the buildings. We have signage. They have started doing Hepburn Hall. We've seen painting done to start to incorporate a lot of the Kane colors into our facility. We have that done, and a lot of our vehicles have gotten some of the signage. So it's a fresh start for us.
This campus is really significant to Jersey City, and we understand and we respect that. And I love this place, Kane, Jersey City. Let's go.
Kane, Jersey City, let's go. Kane, Jersey City, let's go. What you just saw is a physical transformation, but the success of Kane, Jersey City will ultimately be measured by the experience of students and by the value this university system creates with and for Jersey City. Every investment we make there should bring education, economic development, innovation, and opportunity closer to the people of Jersey City and Hudson County. The city itself can become the classroom and the community part of the laboratory. Urban education, public health, business, and education are not abstract academic subjects. They're issues unfolding in real time outside our doors, and a public research university should be present where important questions are being asked. That is what our metropolitan campus adds to Kane, but the relationship must work in both directions. If we approach Jersey City this way, the merger becomes a model for how a public research university can use institutional strength to preserve access, advance economic mobility, and create public impact. That approach also means recognize that becoming one Kane does not require every part of the university to become identical. Union remains the flagship in the academic research and operational heart of the system. Kane Ocean demonstrates how regional partnerships can create affordable pathways to degree completion. Windsor Kane connects education, research, and entrepreneurship across cultures. Kane Global reaches students whose education must fit around the demands of modern life. Kane Jersey City now places urban learning, research, and public impact in the center of a dynamic metropolitan region. Each location brings something distinct. The purpose of unification is to connect them so their combined capacity becomes a force multiplier. See, there's room for some joy and fun in that idea as well. A family can share a name, a set of values, and a common purpose without having exactly the same personality. Trust me, I know in the Replet household. Apparently, the Cougar family is no exception. I think Keanu and his cousins make the point better than any organizational chart ever could. Our campuses can preserve what makes them distinct while moving with a shared purpose. The significance of the unified Kane system becomes most visible when we stop looking at the map and begin looking at the people moving through it. Everything we have discussed this morning ultimately has to arrive somewhere. Otherwise, we have created an infrastructure without purpose. The strongest measure of this university would never be the number of locations we operate or the number of accomplishments we can list. It will be whether the capacity we have built creates opportunities that change the trajectory of people's lives. A student may begin in Union and conduct research at Ocean, engage a community partner in Jersey City, collaborate with someone in Windsor, participate in international experience in Brazil, or complete coursework online after a full day of work. Kane exists everywhere, wherever our mission is being carried forward. And that requires us to think differently about what a university is and where an education can happen. Global learning is one of the clearest examples. We often say that travel broadens the mind, but its educational value goes much deeper than exposure to a different place. Our students have learned in communities far beyond New Jersey. They have confronted questions involving sustainability and resilience, studied history in the places where history unfolded, engaged communities whose experienced challenges their own, observed how different societies approach health, education, business, architecture, and public life. And each time we travel, we recruit students, some of whom are here today. I'm going to pause for a second. I want you to stand up. I got my 3 or 4 students in the front row to stand up here. We have a young lady from Dubai. We have a young man from London. We have a young man from South Africa. And we have a young man from Wenzhou Kane in China. I wanted you to see that this is real because our travel learns allows us to spread our Kane love, right? To expose our students and also give us recognition in areas that we've never been accustomed. So thank you very much, guys, for coming in today. I appreciate you. received an email the other day from Bill Calathis, and Bill Calathis said to me, I enjoy your travel learns, but I want to add another travel learn to Geneva, Switzerland. So Bill, in front of everyone here, we're going to work on that to create that, because I want to ensure that a lot of our Cane Jersey City students get an opportunity to go and learn about the criminal justice system over there. So thank you, Bill, for that suggestion. What you just saw is not separate from the research culture we discussed earlier. Research and global learning are connected by the same educational principle. Both ask students to become more curious about the world, question what they believe they know, and develop the confidence to investigate what they do not know yet or understand. Our responsibility is to prepare students for a future larger than they've ever imagined. That is one reason becoming a research university matters. Most 18-year-olds do not arrive at Cane thinking about Carnegie classifications, but they benefit from what that classification represents. The value of R2 becomes real when a student begins to understand that knowledge is something they can help create. The scale of the unified Cane system now allows us to imagine that research culture moving across the entire system. Students should easily, increasingly become able to ask, what does a unified Cane system make possible? Our students are not thinking about which division owns initiative or whether an organization unit ends and begins. They're thinking about whether they can get the class they need, afford to remain enrolled, graduate on time, find an internship, and know that someone at the university recognizes both their challenges and their potential. Beneath many of those questions is something more fundamental. Erica, you're going to like this, our Chief Wellbeing Officer. Do I belong here? You see, belonging is not created simply because an institution says the word belonging. Students decide whether they belong through experiences, whether someone knows their name, makes room for their voice, and helps them find a way, Marvin, through a different path when the original plan changes. That responsibility is especially clear when we think about our international students and the courage required to leave everything familiar and trust an institution in another part of the world with their future. The presence of these students changes classrooms, broadens perspectives, and allows students to experience the world differently. The same is true across the diversity of our entire student body. Some students arrive knowing exactly where they're headed, while others are still trying to imagine what is possible. Our task is to create a university system strong and connected enough for all of them to find a place within it. Over the past several years, Cane has invested in doctoral education, research infrastructure, external funding, and opportunities for students to participate in discovery. Students and faculty examine coastal erosion along the Jersey Shore, apply artificial intelligence to questions involving health and disease detection, and studied environmental sustainability and invasive species here in New Jersey. You see, the fields may differ, but the expectations connecting them is consistent. Knowledge is created at Cane, and whether Cane have the consequences beyond that. Someone who illustrates that idea particularly well is Cane alumnus Dr. Yusef Kusa, whose work at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. is exploring questions that could change how we understand and protect children's brains. His journey began here as a former student trustee, and his work demonstrates how the impact of a university travels through its people long after commencement.
The babies that I care for are very fragile. Once a baby's brain is injured, it affects their life and it affects their family's life. The care that we provide right after birth could make the difference between a child being able to walk and being able to talk. My specialty is prenatal and neonatal neurology. I treat babies with concern for brain injury or brain malformations. Many times, pregnant women are exposed to viruses, and sometimes that virus finds its way to the brain of their unborn child, and the virus can cause a severe brain injury. We're trying to find out how the virus does that and what we can do to prevent the injury from happening so that we can protect a child's potential for the rest of their life. What drives me are personal experiences. A child that was part of our family had seizures growing up. Growing up around children who didn't have an opportunity to meet their promise and potential has always affected me. My life's goal is to figure out how we can maximize and unleash human potential. It's very exciting for me to be collaborating with researchers at Cane. Cane is where I learned to be interested in how things work and to hone all the interests that I had into a discipline. falling in love with science and research during my time at Kane really shaped who I am today.
I was his master's thesis advisor. When he was pursuing his master's in biotechnology, he had drive and motivation as a young man. He had the interest and the desire to pursue learning for the sake of learning.
Working with colleagues and collaborators here at Kane, what we're very focused on is how does brain injury happen before a baby is born? We're studying a molecule that we think helps viruses get into cells. This molecule is really hard to measure. The team was able to develop a specific assay to measure this molecule to a very high degree of certainty.
It is very exciting for Kane community to be involved in this research. We have the top-of-the-line instrument here at Kane and also the expertise overall. And if we can add a little bit of knowledge to the whole pipeline, it'll be better for the future.
It makes our research stronger to be able to collaborate with Kane, and we're very excited to continue working together. When I was here at Kane, there were several professors that saw a great deal of promise and potential in me. My mission and my calling is to protect this potential, to give every human the best shot possible at life. Children are our future.
Dr. Cruz's story helps clarify the standard we should set for ourselves as a research university. Kane should increasingly be known for research that matters, work that engages students, advances knowledge, informs public policy, strengthens community, and improves lives. We must listen before we prescribe, work with communities rather than merely end them, and recognize that some of the most important questions our researchers pursue will come from the people and the places we serve. That same principle extends to workforce preparation. Students come to Kane to earn credentials, a degree, and also build lives, careers, and a future. Academic preparation is essential, but many students also benefit from someone who can help them translate what they're learning into the professional world they're preparing to enter. That is why partnerships connecting students with mentors, employers, and professional preparation matters. They give students access to people who can help them see the next step and understand how the knowledge, skills, and experience they develop at Kane can become meaningful in a career.
At Kane University, we believe every student should graduate with the confidence, skills, and support needed to build a meaningful future. That's why we are proud to announce a new partnership with Braven, a national nonprofit dedicated to helping college students prepare for strong careers and advanced study. Beginning this fall, eligible Kane sophomores and juniors will be able to enroll in Braven's 3-credit Career Accelerator course.
Through hands-on assignments, small group learning labs, and guidance from professional leadership coaches, students will strengthen essential skills in communication, teamwork, problem-solving, leadership, and career navigation. They will also gain access to mentorship, career coaching, professional networks, and curated internship and job opportunities.
Together, Kane and Braven are expanding access to the real-world tools and relationships that open doors. By combining Kane's academic excellence with Braven's proven career readiness model, we are creating pathways for students to build brighter futures and achieve greater economic mobility. Kane students will graduate ready to lead, thrive, and make an impact, because when our students climb higher, our communities do too.
We do not know where each of our students will ultimately go. What we do know is that the education they received here will travel with them, and through them, the impact of this university will travel much farther than the boundaries of any campus. As our capacity grows, our obligation grows with it. And the next question before us is how we ensure that the people who carry this university understands their role in building what comes next. The task before us is to chart our path forward without losing something that has always been central to Kane's identity, and that's our humanity. Going forward, we should teach curiosity alongside expertise and empathy alongside intelligence, because the world our graduates will lead is not becoming simpler. It will require people who can listen, translate across differences, build trust, and work productively with people who do not share their backgrounds or worldview. That human dimension is important as technology continues to reshape higher education in nearly every profession our students will enter. Artificial intelligence can extend our capabilities, strengthen research, improve systems, and create new ways of teaching and working, but technical capacity does not eliminate the need for human judgment. Right? That same principle should guide the way we think about leadership inside the unified Kane system. Leadership is expressed whenever someone embraces the mission and asks what they can do for the institution. In the unified system, we also must ask how the decisions affect Kane as a whole and whether it moves the mission forward. So you see, that is the difference between being responsible for a part of the university and accepting stewardship for the entire system. I've never believed prestige should be the ultimate measure of Kane's transformation. Rankings recognize good work, designations validate it, and national reputation can extend the reach of the institution. But the most critical form of prestige is impact. That understanding should shape the way each of us approach our work. Leadership through the university is therefore less about titles than about accepting responsibility for the part of the mission that has been entrusted to our care. You see, that phrase matters to me the most. What has been entrusted to our care? Higher education is fundamentally an act of stewardship because people place extraordinary things in our hands. Students entrust us with years of their lives and expectations for their futures. Family entrusts us with their hopes and dreams. And over the last 6 years, there were moments when the pace of change was difficult. And when the ambitions before us may have appeared larger, James, than the institution people remembered. Because transformation requires people to release some part of what is familiar before the future is fully visible. I know, Audrey can attest to this, I know I've asked a great deal of this university on this day every year. And I also know that none of what we have discussed today exists simply because it appeared in a strategic plan, Mike, or was announced from this podium. The vision became real because people, you, throughout Kane, chose to carry it. Somewhere along the journey, belief stopped belonging to one person and became shared. The next level will require the same willingness to build before every outcome is certain. The difference is that this time we begin from a much higher place. We have greater capacity, broader reach, stronger institutional confidence, but that does not mean the next chapter will build itself. The unified Kane system is something we're creating together through the decisions made in the classrooms, laboratories, offices, meetings, and communities every day. For years, Climb Higher has been an invitation to our students to pursue opportunities and imagine more for themselves. A university cannot credibly ask students to climb higher while the institution remains standing still. Kane must climb high with them. As their ambitions evolve, our capacity must evolve. As the world changes, our preparation must change. As communities confront new challenges, our relevance must deepen. Climbing higher, therefore, is a promise that the institution will become what our students and communities require in the future. The next level will not be built by some future group who inherit Kane after us. We are rising and climbing higher together right now. Our next chapter begins from a higher place, as I mentioned, which means the expectation must rise. That is what I want us to understand about the phrase, rise and climb higher. Rising describes what has happened through years of sustained work. Climbing describes what we choose to do. It requires intention, collaboration, and the willingness to continue improving even after external recognition begins to arrive. It also reminds us that there is always another level of responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. It requires us to be clear about what success should look like in the next era. There'll be a time when students arrive at Kane and assume that R2 has always been part of the university, that Windsor Kane was always there and Jersey City was always part of the system, and that opportunities they move between have always existed. You see, that is how progress works. The things that once required extraordinary courage eventually becomes institutional expectations. But those of us who were here while the blueprint was still uncertain should remember the courage required before the outcome was guaranteed. And we should remember the people who contribute doing the work before anyone knew whether recognition would follow. That means the real legacy of this moment will be whether students 20 or 30 years from now encounter a stronger university because of the choices that we made here today. So let us enter this academic year with the confidence of an institution that knows what it has accomplished, the humility to understand the work ahead, and the courage to continue building beyond what we can currently see. As we ask our students to keep climbing towards the futures they imagine for themselves, let us make one promise to them, that Kean, the system, will climb with them. The unified Kean system has risen. Together we will continue building a university worthy of those who came before us, strong enough for those who depend upon us today, and ambitious enough for the generation who will come after us. Together we will rise and climb higher. Thank you, Happy New Year, and God bless. Happy New Year, Kean University. Happy New Year. It is customary that we would like to invite our board members, executive team, and labor leaders to join us on stage for a one-group family photo.